Outburst, a Todd Mills Mystery, Book 4. Author, R.D. Zimmerman. Publisher, Scribble Pub, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 1998. Narrator, Eric Ost. Chapter 9. It was borderline hot, and the man in the parked white car had both the front and rear windows completely open in hopes of catching that hint of a breeze, the one that had just started flitting about the city as day faded into evening. He wanted to run the air conditioning. The humidity was so damn high that his shirt was sticking to the back of the seat, which drove him nuts, but he didn't dare. No, he didn't want to turn on the engine, for a parked car with a running engine might attract attention, and the last thing he wanted was for someone to notice him. It was a quiet street, half of it still lined with tall, graceful elms, the other half replanted with spindly little things. Maples, he thought. No, wait a minute, he thought, peering at the pathetic branches. Those were ash. Whatever. But it was a quiet neighborhood, of that he was most definitely sure. In the 60 minutes he'd been sitting out here, there'd been no kids about, which relieved him, for the last thing he wanted was a group of kids racing up and down the sidewalks, taking note of the stranger on the block. He was pleased as well that even on such a warm night there wasn't anyone lingering on any of the front porches of these solid wood-framed houses. Couldn't he, then, infer that empty nesters and single people lived here? Well, there was at least one single person, of that he was sure. A gay man who lived on the second floor of that duplex, just up on the left. Behind him, he heard the gentle hum of an engine, and he glanced in his rearview mirror. The street itself was straight and in decent repair. The curbs looked no more than 2 or 3 years old, and down it now came a small red car. Behind the wheel was a woman with long blonde hair, that much he could tell. And when she passed him, she seemed not to notice anything out of the ordinary. That his car didn't belong here. Focused on her, he watched as she drove 3 houses past the duplex, pulled to the right, and parked. Reaching for a pen and the yellow legal pad on the seat next to him, the man jotted it all down. The red car, the blonde woman, the return home at, he noted, checking his watch, 6:33. Very good. He now had almost his entire midsection of the block accounted for, and in turn a reasonably good idea of the pattern of the lives of the people who lived here. The only house that he really couldn't tell anything about was the white clapboard one, just next door to the duplex, with peeling white paint and the curtains drawn. It didn't look as if anyone was living in the structure. Then again, it didn't look completely abandoned, for there were no newspapers or flyers lying about on the front steps or tucked in the front door. There were no envelopes bulging out of the mailboxes. As far as a car, perhaps it was stashed in the garage off the alley. So someone could be living there. Easily so. An old person, right? He surmised. Someone frail. Someone who didn't get out much. Someone who didn't have anything better to do all day than peer out the windows and see who and what was lurking on the block. So be careful of that one, he admonished absolutely. Suddenly, the door of the duplex opened, and his next target stepped out. Wasting not a moment, the man in the car calmly pulled a newspaper from his lap and looked at it, as if he were reading with his face concealed. He watched just over the top of the pages as the other descended from the front porch to the street. Noting the fresh shirt, pressed pants, and slicked down dark hair, he gathered that this guy was going to meet someone, undoubtedly for dinner, and the man in the car easily guessed just who that might be. This was good, very good. He needed to find out which door this guy primarily used, and now it was clear, the front one, which meant he'd lay his trap in the rear. Yes, thought the man in the car as he watched Sergeant Steve Rollins climb into his silver Taurus. This one's going to be easy. Very easy. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.